This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis.
Barrett from shake and bake, hits a three. That's alive in the crowd with Barrett. 5 on the 24. Barrett previously in the air ball. The drive, the lane, pass and home. Gets it back, keeps it out Barrett. Barrett for three. RJ Barrett from Dallas. Quick trigger three. Gets another triple. Looking for more. Flip to the buzzer. Oh, it's gone! J.R. Smith from way downtown at the buzzer. Novak, good open look. Puts it in. Into Ewing. That'll make the garden warm.
Ewing facing a double team, but still was able to hit.
Smith to finish. And the foul. Novak, good open look. Puts it in. Excellent ball to Houston.
Houston ducks under. Got it! With 8 tenths left.
What is going on, guys? This is Rob Carbone coming at you with another episode of BD4. Episode 124 of BD4. 124 episodes in to the podcast. Wow. Pretty soon we're going to be coming up on a full year. I think I started the pod, I want to say it was late July, early August. I had to find out the exact date, but off the top of my head, we're going to be coming up on that in a few months. Scary to think about how fast time flies. But yes, we are on episode 124. Just going to continue doing our usual of late, picking apart some pre-draft prospects that the Knicks should take a look at, starting with, the later sleeper picks and then working our way up the board to the lottery guys eventually. So, I know everybody saw The Last Dance, I'm sure. I still need to catch up. Actually, probably as I finish recording this, I'm going to go check out a couple episodes and binge a few maybe. So I heard everybody loved it though. That's for sure. I heard it was very good, very great, and informative. And we've talked about this, so I don't want to waste too much time talking about The Last Dance. We're gonna get, we've got a couple of, little headlines, lately. Which the one today really is that the Knicks made another hire, and Leon Rose is continuing really to remain active, right, and kind of reshape this front office. It started kind of with Steve Mills going, and then he brought in Brock Aller, David Blatt, who's now gone, obviously, but he brought in Steve Stout to kind of try and rebrand the Knicks in the marketing category, and he's bringing in some guy by the name of Walt Perrin. I never heard of him. I'm going to be honest with you, not going to sit here and act like I know who he is, but I did do a lot of research upon finding out the Knicks hired him. They're finalizing a deal. That was a report that came out. Shams reported it first. So I saw that, and it seems like from what I've read, this is somebody, he was for 19 years with the Jazz. So he's a veteran of the game, well known around the league, very respected around the league, and he was an executive, but I think the exact title was Vice President of Player Personnel for the Utah Jazz, was Walt Perrin. And I hope I'm saying his name right. But from what I hear, he is a good talent evaluator, very good at scouting, and he was there for 19 years. So you look at all the guys he brought in, and he's kept that Jazz team pretty competitive, assembling a solid, stable squad. They made the playoffs in 10 of the 19 seasons he was there, and they made the playoffs, to be specific, in 9 of the last 14 years. So he remained, he had them remaining competitive and being a successful, to a degree, franchise. During his tenure, the Jazz acquired 4 All-Stars through the draft alone. So they kept it homegrown. They didn't really rely on free agency and the trade market, being that Utah is not really like a big market city like that. They kept it through the draft, and they acquired 4 All-Stars through the draft. When we're looking at Gordon Hayward, Darren Williams, Rudy Gobert, and Donovan Mitchell right now. So, that was all during Perrin's tenure there. And then, of course, he traded for a couple of guys. The Paul Millsap trade worked out well. So, they had some pretty, he's got a decent resume when you look at his track record. So, listen, I'm not going to, you can't hate on this, right? There's not much to work with here. It looks good on the surface, right? It looks pretty decent as it is. It looks like they made a safe move, if anything, and it was a good deal. The thing I'm kind of trying to figure out is, was this completely Leon Rose, or did Scott Perry have some influence here? Because if you look at the history, there is some overlap here between Perry and Perrin. I think they worked together back in 2000 with Detroit, with the Pistons. They were together for about 1 or 2 years. So there's some overlap there, and we know that Perry likes his former mates, right? He likes former players, former staff. We know he likes to bring along, guys that he's affiliated with in the past. You look at Hazonia, you look at Peyton, and now, we see other guys like, I know he had a good relationship with someone in the FO before Perrin. Was it Blatt? Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, that it might be, there might be some influence from Scott Perry there too. So, just again, it's nothing you can really look too much into. It is what it is, until we find out more about this guy. But again, the surface here looks pretty decent. It looks like the Knicks made a safe and smart decision here, hiring someone like Walt Perrin. And buddy of mine texted me, he goes, Walt's work out good here in Manhattan. And that's true. You look at Clyde Frazier, he's yeah. But no, it is what it is. Can't really get too much, put too much weight into it. But yeah, Rose continues to remain proactive, and you like that he's trying to reshape this organization a little bit upstairs. And you got to take it with a slight positive if you're going to take it with anything. You got to take that as a plus. So that's that little piece of information we got. There's not much outside of that going on, but yeah, I just thought I'd share that and give a little take on that. So we're gonna head into the episode tonight. We got a lot to say when it comes to our new prospect tonight, Malachi Flynn, and boy, I hope I pronounced his name correctly. I'm pretty sure I did because I watched a ton of film on him, but this is a kid who actually intrigues me quite a bit. I know some of the more recent prospects that we've dove into, Trey Jones, Marcus Howard specifically, I've been, very 50-40, maybe even 40-60 on. But this kid, I really think he could be a nice pickup to be a stabilizer on that second unit for the Knicks. And that's what we're going to talk about for episode 124, some of Malachi Flynn's strengths, weaknesses, and his future outlook here, potentially with the Knicks if they do decide to take him at number 38, in the draft with their second round pick. So yeah, we're going to take a quick break and then we will get right into the episode, guys. All right. Hey fellas, really quick, I just want to remind you, in order to subscribe to BD4, to subscribe to my blog, and to follow me on social media, all you have to do is go to my website. That's it. Just go to nysportstalk.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, that is nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once there, guys, that will display all of my information. Where to subscribe to the podcast, how to subscribe to my blog, and where to follow me on social media. Guys, thank you so much, and let's get back to the show. Malachi Flynn is a point guard from. He's a 6'1" point guard, 180 pounds, 6'3" wingspan, so pretty average size, if anything, below average. But he's from Washington State. Originally, he went there. He played in the Pac-12 during his freshman and sophomore season. But then he took the junior year to transfer, and he moved to he transferred schools to San Diego State, where he played his third and final season at school. Played in the MWC, the Mountain West Conference. So he had a great All American season there, where he led that team to a 30-2 record. He listen. He's somebody who I think has a very high floor. The ceiling may not be the greatest. He may not have a ton of upside, but I think he's going to be pretty much a solidifier, as he enters the NBA and be a good solid career backup point guard to playmake for hopefully the Knicks. So for the 30-2 Aztecs, this past season in 2020, he averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he did so while shooting 44% on 13.0 shots from the field, shooting 37% from 3 on 6.4 attempts, and 86% from the free throw stripe on 4.4 free throw attempts per game. Did this while collecting 1.8 steals and turning it over just 1.8 times across 32 games with 33 minutes per night. So very efficient, very productive, good-looking numbers. The thing that stands out to me most is those 5 assists versus the 1.8 turnovers. That's a great ratio. And again, just goes to show how much of an efficient playmaker he is. So somebody I expect to be drafted in the second round, somewhere in the second round. I don't think he'll go undrafted, but I also don't really think he's going to go in the first. I think he'll be somebody that falls, and the team that picks him up would benefit. And I'm hoping that's the Knicks, because I think he could be a solid secondary pick and roll playmaker with the NYK. If they take him with their 38th pick, which is supposedly I'm pretty sure it's 38. It's the Hornets pick for the second round. So a high end rotation player, probably a career backup. Some people think he's going to be a two-way player back and forth between the G League and the NBA. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like the floor is high. I really do. I'm pretty optimistic here. Speaking of optimism, I think the optimistic projection for him, if he doesn't end up being a high rotation player, I think if he ends up peaking out, he could be a low-end starter, maybe somebody who spot starts. But I think the middle ground here is somebody who's going to be in the back at the high end of that rotation and coming off the bench. But I've heard a lot of comparisons too. I've heard Tony Snell, which probably is a floor, but even that I think is a little pessimistic. I've also heard a Rajon Rondo light. I see it, with the pick and roll maestro being a pick and roll maestro. I heard like a Zach LaVine with less athleticism, because I guess he's a good ball handler and he knows how to create off the bounce. And then the one I like a little bit is Tony Parker light, right? Somebody who I see it, I see a lesser version of Tony Parker, who, again, a pick and roll guru, somebody who can shoot a little bit and kind of provide some perimeter defense, and doesn't have the size to match up with a ton of bigger guards and wings, but plays his position well, like a backup version of a Tony Parker. I see it if he pans out. So yeah, I really think he would address a lot of the New York Knicks flaws, right? He could bring some terrific playmaking off the bench. Somebody who is one of the best pick and roll players in this class. I think if not the best pick and roll player in the class, he is one of the best. He can pass in pick and roll, and he can score in pick and roll. Don't get me wrong. He's got a very high IQ, very deceptive, and kind of manipulates the defense with his ball fakes and pump fakes and eye movement when he's running pick and roll. And he's very unselfish, just a great all-around passer, solid ball handler. Again, we mentioned the 5.1 assists this past season versus the 1.8 turnovers. When you look at the totals, it's 162 versus 57. So very efficient passer. And somebody who can make a variety of passes off the bounce. out of PNR. He'll make the pocket passes. He will make those cross court skip passes, the baseline passes. He'll hit the roll man very, on a very timely fashion. Knows when to toss it to the roll man, and really just makes the occasional. He'll make the occasional dump off passes too. Really does it all as a passer, and that's why, again, name one Nick, right? Aside from Ntilikina's upside, that really has that ability to benefit the team in pick and roll, like I think Flynn could. And he has a good, solid ball handling ability too, so he can score off the bounce. He likes to attack the bigs and drop coverage during pick and roll. Very often. He will often use his footwork and his decent burst to get to the rim off the and kind of expose bigs in the drop coverage. So he's gonna get to the basket well, and he's gonna finish pretty well. He can finish with either hand, predominantly right, but he has the ability to use his left, and I think his go-to move in that, when he's in the lane is that runner. He likes to throw up that little floater, and he has a good ability to finish with it. So pretty soft touch around the rim. And, in pick and roll, when we're looking at the statistics here, I have written down that Flynn was in the 96th percentile this past year in points per possession as a ball handler in pick and roll. So that's just outstanding, meaning he was better than all but 4% of the league in that category. And 74% of his assists actually came out of either pick and roll or in transition. So somebody who loves to run the break, somebody who loves to use ball screens and create, using his craft there. But also a good versatile shooter. Don't get me wrong. He's not somebody who's strictly limited to playmaking. He can shoot the ball some too. I don't know how great of a shooter he will be in the NBA, but there's reason to believe with his good form and decent elevation on the jumper, there's reason to believe he'll at least be average, a 35% guy from distance. He's got a nice spot up catch and shoot game where he was in the 87th percentile in points per possession off the spot up. Can shoot off the bounce. Has really done well, as an off movement shooter, right? Somebody who shoots off of ball screens, 82nd percentile when it comes to that. And, he can run off a variety of actions. So very good as a movement shooter. I noticed that, high volume, high efficiency as a movement shooter. He's just a very good, well-rounded offensive player who knows what he's doing. But on the flip side, guys, what I like, again, he can play defense. He's not just an offensive focused wing or guard. He's somebody who's very focused, pretty engaged defensively too. He's a good team defender, somebody who is going to, make sure he rotates well. He can do that pretty fairly. He positions himself very, very fairly as well on the perimeter. He can slide very well laterally, and just a good team defender. Collected 1.8 steals per game this past season, and across all 3 seasons at school, both schools, when you combine them, he averaged 1.6 steals per 40 minutes. So, a good blend of knowing when to be smart versus when to take that gamble and be aggressive defensively, right? So he knows, when to stay home, when to gamble, when to do this and do that. He has a good mindset defensively, a smart defender. And he's not a bad rebounder for someone of his size, 6'1", with a 6'3" wingspan and a $180 weight or whatever he is. He's not a terrible rebounder. 4.5 per game in 2020 and 4.3 per 40 across his entire college career. So those are the pros, right? Good pick and roll playmaker, somebody who could score and pass off the bounce and give you some boost off the bench, and then play some defense as well on the perimeter. Now some of the minuses here when it comes to this kid is that it's the size, and that's you're going to find that with a lot of prospects in this class. We've already talked about it a bunch with other prospects that a lot of these guys don't have the size, and that's the big issue. He's very small. It's mostly his underwhelming length. He's going to struggle versus when he's trying to get his shot off, contested shots, they're probably not going to fall. He's going to get blocked easily because of his small wingspan, and it's also going to limit him, obviously, defensively. His versatility defensively, not really going to be able to slide up to the 2 and defend them often, unless he's guarding, the smaller off guards. going to be limited there defensively in terms of his versatility. It's going to hurt him on the dribble drive, I would imagine. Obviously hurt him in the paint, and again, he's going to get hurt by the bigger guards and wings. But all in all, man, I'm willing to take a risk on this kid. I really like Malachi Flynn's game. I think he's somebody who could be very, very effective for the Knicks. And, does he fall in that second round? I would take him in a heartbeat. I would. I really would. I would hope that the Knicks would have the opportunity to do this. Because I really think he's somebody who some GMs are going to sleep on. I don't think he's going to be snagged, right? I don't think anyone's going to snatch him up right away. I really don't. So if he falls, I would take him. He's one of the guys on the top of my list in terms of second round prospects. So that's Malachi Flynn, guys, and that's pretty much all we've got for tonight. So if you if you enjoyed it, please give it a like, subscribe, share, download, and all that fun stuff. If you have any thoughts, be sure to comment. We are on so many platforms too, so be sure to subscribe to BD4 on the many different platforms we have. We are on YouTube. We are on Anchor. We are on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google, iTunes, your Apple Podcasts, and plenty more outlets as well. Just go to my website, go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect, and that will take you to a page that displays all my information. So once again, guys, I want to thank you for stopping by, and I think that's it. I think that's all we've got for tonight. This has been Rob Carbone with BD4, episode 124 of BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. And I think that's all we got. Guys, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next show. All right, ciao.